Now
I am making cookies. It's getting to the holiday season, and I've got that Happier Holidays cookbook. Oh, it's so close, I can taste it. So I decided, because a couple folks have been asking me, that I'd show y'all how to do some more cookies. This one is a triple chocolate chip. And it's kind of funny, I hadn't really thought about the fact that I haven't done tons of cookies on YouTube, which I don't know why, because I love them, and I've got about 58,000 different kinds. But anyway, we're making cookies. So all I've done here is, I did this so y'all didn't have to listen to the noise of the beater. This is 2 sticks of butter and about 3/4 cup each of brown sugar and light brown sugar. And because so many of y'all are in Australia, the United Kingdom, okay, so that's a cup of butter, which is 8 ounces, and about 6 ounces each of the brown and light brown sugar. And if you try to ask me what that is in grams, I won't have a clue what to tell you, but that's how I'm trying to stop saying stuff like 2 sticks of butter, since y'all don't get your butter in sticks. Does that make sense? Okay, so all I did was I beat that up until it was kind of light and fluffy. See, just light and fluffy. Of course, butter and sugar taste so good. All right, so 1/2 cup of cocoa powder, and don't worry about getting the Dutch processed, you don't have to. And then that's a teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, and a teaspoon of kosher salt. So this is all going into my big bowl, which has 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And we add the dry ingredients to the dry ingredients because it's much easier to get everything to kind of come together in this bowl than it would be if I was trying to add the little bit of salt or cocoa powder, whatever, to the cookie batter itself. That'd be a mess. And I like working with glass bowls because then you can see if you've got any pockets where it didn't mix up well. And I don't. Now, normally, you'd do this backwards. You'd have your butter and sugar in your big bowl, and you'd add your dry ingredients from a smaller bowl. But since I've apparently decided to do everything backwards lately, I'm doing that a little bit backwards. So start out with your butter and sugar in the bigger bowl. And there's really no true technical reason for that, except I'm going to put that mixer in there in a minute, and it's going to puff up. See, it's going to puff up all over the place. So I'm going to do a minute or 2 of mixing by hand, and then just because that's not interesting, I'll let y'all come back and see what the next step is. Choked. Okay, so I mixed that all up. Got a nice, dry, crumbly dough. We don't want to really have that way. So here's what we do next. We're going to beat in 2 large eggs, one at a time. If I break another mixer, I'm going to scream. Now, I was thinking about this a minute ago. There are rules in baking and conventions in baking. And once you've done it a while, you'll begin to learn which ones you can break and which ones you can't. A convention in baking is to add your eggs with the butter and sugar. And that's fine, but you don't have to. Now, a rule in baking would be you've got to have a leavener in here. And you have to cream the butter and sugar together. That's a rule. But the order for cookies, not so much. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. Almost didn't have a teaspoon left. My daughter's been kind of going crazy with her Easy Bake Oven. And she pretty much never gets anything to work because she makes up her own recipes, but they all have vanilla in them. All right, now, nice thick batter. And at this point, we're going to do our, we're going to taste the batter. Ricky always have to taste the batter. Okay, 1 cup of regular semi-sweet chocolate chips and a cup of white chocolate chips. And do yourself a favor. Sometimes they're hard to find, where I am at least. If you live in a bigger city or a less rural area, you probably won't have trouble. But don't buy, I've forgotten what it's called, melting bark, I think. White chocolate, true white chocolate chips. Can be a little hard to find, and they're a little expensive, but you're just not going to get the same results with that other stuff. I think that other stuff they use for the candy melts. Did I say candy melts a minute ago? Anyway, they use it for candy making, or to, if you're going to dip something in white chocolate. I know there's a major cake decorating and cake pan manufacturer who packages a lot of that stuff, and that's fine, but it doesn't taste very good. So if you're going to go to the trouble of actually melting chocolate or using white chocolate in something, either find the real stuff, or you can always order it online, but don't use the fake stuff. It's just not, it doesn't taste very good. And beat those chocolate chips in there by hand. It takes a little bit of muscle, not very much muscle, because I don't have much. But you don't want to break up your chips in the batter, and if you use beaters or the mixer, chances are that's what's going to happen. Now, one of my favorite tricks to making cookies is a little disher ice cream scoop. Every one of your cookies is going to be exactly the same size, which means they're all going to bake at exactly the same rate, which is nice, because then you don't have some that are burned and some that are underdone. And these are easy to find too. Nobody can quite, I've seen them listed all kinds of ways. People call them food scoops, ice cream scoops, of course. I've always called them, dishers, dishing out something. I don't think that's any kind of term anybody else uses. But find these are really handy. So, nice little scoops like that. 350 degree oven behind me. I'm going to give these 9 minutes and I'm going to check it. A lot of times when you get a range of times for a baking recipe, it's to account for the calibration of your oven. Very few ovens are spot on. Maybe after the first 6 months that they're new, they begin to go up and down the temperature fluctuations. So I'm going to check these at 9 minutes, because this is the first time for this recipe in this oven, but yours could go as long as 11, so keep that in mind. All right, 9 to 11 minutes, we'll dish up some more cookies, and I'll show you what they look like when they come out. So I actually checked my cookies at 9 minutes, and I ended up giving them an additional 4, so I've been thinking my oven was running slow, and I was right. So my oven's a little low on its temperature. So it's no big deal, just check it at the earliest point. Hang on just a minute. Check your oven at the earliest point, and if you need more time, give it more time. So, when your cookies come out of the oven, this is important. Don't try to take them off right away, because they're going to break. You actually have to let your cookies rest on the cookie sheet. We just had a camera trade-off, by the way. You have to let them rest on the cookie sheet, just like you do with meats. If you try to pull them up too soon, they're too soft. They'll break. However, if you go too long before you loosen them up, they'll stick to the cookie sheet. See, I'm just full of helpful information. So this is our triple chocolate chip cookie. These are still really warm. Now, that is a good looking cookie. And you can't tell me, if you didn't leave these for Santa Claus with a big old glass of milk, you'd probably get extra presents. You might get a convertible or something. I don't know. See? Aren't those gorgeous? Alright, so if this video has helped you at all, please do me a favor and give me a thumbs up. If you have questions, ask in the comments below. You can find me on Facebook, you can find me on Twitter, you can find me on Pinterest. And do me a favor and check out my new Patreon page. That would really, really help me out. Alright, so triple chocolate chip cookies. Yum.